Both rush outside as the captain shouts for everyone to assume battle positions. Jung-soo asks one of the officers what's happening, and he responds that the radar has detected an unknown number of fast-moving objects heading their way. Jung-soo moves to the bow of the ship, gripping his spear, prepared for combat. The officers also take their positions, firing from the turrets. They notice dead fish floating to the surface, while others frantically leap onto the deck. Jung-soo recognizes that something has terrified them, something that is about to reveal itself. A massive whirlpool forms ahead of the ship, and from its depths, the sea dragon emerges. Standing atop the beast's head, Sua Shin, the sea dragon warrior, fixes her gaze on the man who defeated the golem warrior. The creature begins charging its fiery breath. Upon witnessing this, the captain orders evasive maneuvers. Jung-soo shouts, commanding them to drop the anchor. One of the officers struggles to comprehend why Jung-soo would request such a thing. Escaping is the logical choice. Despite his doubts, the captain declares that from this moment on, they will follow the warrior's orders. He gives the command to release the anchor. Obeying its master's command, the beast unleashes its fire attack. Jung-soo calls upon his shield spear, Ansile. From the sky, a crimson lightning bolt descends upon his weapon, transforming it into a cross-shaped spear. He activates its defensive ability, conjuring a massive shield in front of the ship. Jung-soo warns everyone to take cover if they want to survive. Both forces collide, triggering a colossal explosion that violently disturbs the sea. The shield remains firm against the relentless assault. One of the soldiers feels helpless, believing the hero cannot fight if he continues exhausting his energy defending the ship. The captain is frozen, witnessing the fierce clash between warriors. He quickly regains his composure, commanding his crew to prepare for battle and aim for their enemies' heads. The turrets unleash a barrage, launching a massive number of missiles toward the sea dragon's head. Without hesitation, Sua raises her trident, summoning the Shield of Atlas. A blue magic circle materializes in front of the sea dragon, intercepting all the missiles before they reach their target. One of the officers panics, shouting that their attack has been blocked. However, the captain remains calm. From the start, they knew their firepower was no match for the beast. Their assault was merely a distraction. He orders them to keep firing until they deplete their ammunition. More missiles launch from the ship, targeting the warrior. Jung-soo, still holding back the dragon's breath, realizes that the ship's attacks aren't entirely futile. He notices that each time Sua activates her shield, the dragon's breath weakens. He deduces that both share the same mana pool. If he can drain it, he'll have an opportunity to strike. Jung-soo advances, closing the distance between himself and Sua. She quickly surmises that he must be moving forward because he has realized the dragon's breath is losing strength. She starts spinning her trident before hurling it into the air. She has decided to eliminate the very reason she activated her shield in the first place. Catching her trident once more, it begins glowing with a blue aura. She hurls it toward the ship, naming the attack Spear of Atlas. The trident speeds toward its target, but just as it is about to strike Jung-soo's shield, Sua raises a finger, causing the weapon to veer upward. She continues guiding it with precise movements, as if conducting an orchestra. With every motion, the trident demolishes each turret on the ship and slaughters the officers aboard. Finally, the spear turns toward Jung-soo's position, alarming Somin and one of the remaining officers. Confident in her advantage, with the dragon's breath attacking from the front and her trident from behind, Sua proclaims that the nameless warrior's end has arrived. A splatter of blood signals that someone has been struck by the trident. However, it was one of the officers. With the last of his strength, he grips the trident, preventing it from piercing Jung-soo. The weapon's mana finally dissipates, coming to a complete halt, causing Sua to feel concern for the first time in the battle. The officer looks at Jung-soo and urges him to seize the opportunity to strike before collapsing to the floor. Jung-soo expresses his gratitude for the sacrifice, then takes hold of Sua's trident, infusing it with his own mana. Now we are transported to the world where Sua was summoned to become a warrior. She looks in awe upon witnessing a civilization flourishing beneath the sea. This place is called Atlas, the realm of the sea dragon. A blue-haired man wielding a sacred trident welcomes her to his kingdom. He tells Sua that by now, she should already know the way to return to her own world. She nods, adding that everything still feels unfamiliar and strange to her. The blue-haired man tells her to take her time and hands her the sacred trident. That weapon has been passed down for generations and is bestowed upon the one chosen to become the Sea Dragon warrior. Upon receiving the trident, Sua officially becomes his warrior, and he entrusts his life to her. He bows, declaring himself a servant of the Sea Dragon warrior, and kisses her hand, sealing the pact. From that day forward, he vows to protect Sua from any adversary that dares to stand in her way as she approaches her final battle against the Demon Lord. Returning to the present, Sua seethes with fury at the sight of Jongsu daring to hold her most cherished possession. She demands that he return it, as the dragon begins charging another fire attack. He responds stoically, stating that he will return it for sure, but it will end lodged in the middle of her skull. The sea dragon unleashes its attack, and it collides once more with Jongsu's shield. However, instead of holding it back, he deactivates his shield. He channels mana into the trident and hurls it, naming the attack Path of Frost. The trident soars at full speed, freezing the dragon's breath as it nears Sua. She starts feeling uneasy as her assault is nullified. She commands her dragon to cease its breath, shifting their focus to defense. The dragon halts its attack as Sua begins summoning another technique. She calls upon the giant shield of Atlas, manifesting 5 parallel barriers in front of the dragon. She smiles in relief, recalling that not even the Demon Lord was able to break through her 5-layered shield. The trident finally reaches her defenses and, slowly but steadily, begins piercing through them one by one. Sua's smile fades. She cannot believe her barriers are being breached so effortlessly. The trident strikes the 5th and final layer, which starts to fracture. However, the weapon runs out of mana and stops moving, making Sua feel relieved once more since they can now use the dragon's breath again. As she glances toward the bow of the ship, she realizes that the nameless warrior has vanished. Scanning the surroundings, she finally spots him standing over a frozen sea. All this time, he wasn't using his freezing ability solely to counter the dragon's breath. Instead, he was creating a path to get closer to them. Jongsu gets into position. Gripping his cross-shaped spear, he swings it in a vertical slash, slicing through the colossal beast and Sua in half. In her final moments, she gently pats her sea dragon, whispering her love for the last time. She and her creature finally fall, completely defeated. Some time ago, in another world, Sua and the sea dragon had at last triumphed over the Demon Lord. In an unexpected twist, it is revealed that the sea dragon was actually the blue-haired man who had welcomed Sua. He holds her in his arms, relieved that they have averted the foretold apocalypse. He thanks the warrior for saving his world, causing her to blush. They end up kissing, though she weeps, knowing that once she returns home, they will be forced to part ways. He assures her that he will accompany her. After all, he has fulfilled his role as the Lord of Atlas, restoring peace to his realm. When they return to his castle, his subjects warn him that the warrior's world might be vastly different from theirs. He remains resolute. If Sua was able to adapt to their world, so can he. He has already chosen an heir to the throne and fulfilled his duty by vanquishing the Demon Lord. From that day forward, he will live as Sua's partner. However, everything began to fall apart the moment they set foot in Sua's world. The human world was not kind to the sea dragon's human form. Remaining in his human guise became increasingly difficult, yet he tried to conceal it from Sua to prevent her from worrying and to continue their happy life together. One day, she returned from work to a shocking sight. He was transforming into his beast form against his will. Terrified, he pleaded with her to stay away. She refused, embracing him tightly and promising that they would move to a deserted island. That way, they wouldn't have to care about the rest of the world, and they could live happily in a home by the sea. With tears in her eyes, she begged him to never ask her to leave his side. They finally set sail. Sua urged him to hold on just a little longer. They were so close to their destination. Covered in a cloth to conceal his body, he apologized, admitting that he could no longer keep it under control. He fully transformed into his beast form, destroying the boat and taking the lives of those on board. The incident spread across the nation, and the government declared them both terrorists, just as they had done with Minsu Kim. From that moment on, they were branded as villains and became prime targets of the authorities. However, human forces were insufficient to stop them. She didn't care about being labeled a villain. The sea dragon had fought in his world to protect her, and now it was her turn to fight in her world to protect him. Now, Sua's lifeless body rests in a frozen sea, and with its final breath, the sea dragon utters that he loves her. In soul, the sword warrior remains, still mourning what he has lost. Another warrior approaches. It is Seong-jun Lee, the resurrection warrior. He informs Minsu that the golem warrior and the sea dragon warrior have been slain by an unknown individual who recently emerged in this world. He drops photographs of those involved, including Jongsu. Seong-jun adds that this may bring a glimmer of hope to the people and that the cycle of suffering they were perpetuating could finally end. He advises Minsu to take action if he wishes to safeguard his vision of the world. Minsu finally rises, bringing a satisfied smile to the face of the resurrection warrior. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.